Today we're gonna talk about two books that were written 20 years apart. They were from authors in totally different disciplines, and they had prescient visions of the near future. I'm Kellen. I'm a software engineer. I'm a musician, and I used to be a teacher. I don't have any particular qualifications to talk about these books, other than I read them, and I just needed someone to talk to. So hi, welcome, friends. You're all going to talk to me about this stuff. They kind of blew my mind. They freaked me out, but more than that, they quieted my inner terror of the future. They opened my eyes to the fact that we are in the middle of a process that is so much bigger than we can comprehend. I do have these books here with me too, if you want to flip through them later. All right, so I've broken this into chapters so we can all follow along. There's so much in these books that I wasn't able to get to, so I'm getting the main points in here. So humans have a really hard time understanding exponential phenomenon. Linear time like this is intuitive. 1 + 1 + 1 is like very predictable, very straight line. But an exponential line looks a lot different. This is 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, 32. It's doubling. It's easy for us to do this kind of math in our head and even on paper, but understanding what this means in real life seems to always surprise us. At the beginning, these two lines look the same. You can't really tell that there's any difference. But after this inflection point, the knee of the curve, they live in totally different worlds. We are somewhere in between here on a lot of graphs right now. For example, human population. It was flat for pretty much all of recorded history, and then industrialization happened, antibiotics, modern agriculture, and then boom, we have 8 billion people. This one is carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We have ice cores dated back, thousands of years. It's been flat forever, and then same thing, the Industrial Revolution happens, and we see the same elbow. This one is transistors per chip. We have 50 years of Moore's law that looks like steady linear progress until all of a sudden it isn't. This one's more modern. This one's AI model parameters. GPT-1 had 117 million parameters, and 5 years later, GPT-4 was trained on 1.8 trillion. Let's look at one more that really drives this point home for me. This one is computing speed per dollar, charted from 1900 all the way to 2018. So it's flat for pretty much the entire 20th century. And then around the year 2000, it starts to lift. And then in 2018, it's vertical. This is the same chart extended to 2028. That huge peak that we saw in 2018 is now just a small dot near the bottom. This chart makes it look like the computing power that we had in 2018 was only marginally better than the computing power that we had in 1950. The rate of change that we're experiencing right now is incomprehensible, and we're just getting started. Another thing that humans have a really hard time grasping is how long it's taken us to get here. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. If we compressed the whole life of the Earth into one calendar year, we have photosynthesis appearing in February, complex life showing up in mid-November, dinosaurs on December 13th, and then we're here on December 31st. Let's zoom in to the last day of the year. So this is the last day of the year, broken up into 24 hours. Homo sapiens doesn't show up until 11:36 p.m. to be exact. We're pretty late to the party. The Industrial Revolution happens 2 seconds before midnight. Let's zoom into that last minute. There's a lot going on there. The Industrial Revolution, here again, 58 seconds to midnight. AI shows up here in the final millisecond, and right here, right now in this room, we're at midnight. I'm showing you this to illustrate that we aren't living through just a moment in human history. We're living through a moment in planetary history. Something instantaneous. This is as fast and as dramatic as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs. So let's meet the authors. One was an earth scientist, and one was a futurist and an inventor. There's 20 years written between their books. Kurzweil, the book that I read, he wrote it in 1999. Lovelock in 2019. Exponential growth and deep time are foundational to both of their arguments in these books. They understood what those exponential shapes mean, but they have different ideas of what happens next. So James Lovelock was an earth scientist and inventor. He invented a thing called the electron capture microscope that allowed us to discover the hole in the ozone layer. He published this book, Novacene, when he was 100 years old. He's most famous for proposing the Gaia theory in the 1970s. The Gaia theory is that the Earth is not just a rock with life on it, it's a self-regulating system itself that maintains the conditions for its own life. This idea has had a complicated history. At first it was largely ignored. Scientists kind of hated it. Then the ecology movement picked it up. There's been a lot of discussion, and now it's a lot more mainstream. Lovelock frames the entire history of intelligence on planet Earth as three major events. Oh, that's weird. That's not supposed to be there. It's not on my computer. Anyway, there's three major changes in the way that energy from the sun can be converted. So the first event happened 3.5 billion years ago when photosynthetic bacteria showed up and turned sunlight into energy. This allowed life to explode on the planet. The second event, sneak preview you've had this whole time, happened in 1712. Some guy named Thomas Newcomen, he built a pump to drain Cornish tin mines in England. This machine that he invented converted sunlight stored in coal from millions of years ago into mechanical work. This kickstarted the Industrial Revolution. He didn't know that he was starting the Industrial Revolution. He was just some guy trying to solve a drainage problem. The Newcomen of our own age could be in this building right now, probably working on something really annoying. The third age begins now. In this third age, he says, sunlight is being converted directly into information. And this concept is pretty confusing. He means information in the physicist's sense. Bits, 0 or 1, this or that. Basically, what he's saying is we are taking raw energy from the sun and we are converting it into organized data. And by doing this, we are bringing order to the natural chaos of the universe. I read this chapter like 5 times, I still don't get it. So if someone in here gets it, let's talk after. He calls this era that we're in now the Novacene. It is a geological epoch on par with photosynthesis. Let's take a look one more time at the distance between these events. So photosynthesis to Newcomen's engine is basically the entire history of life on Earth. And then Newcomen's engine to now is the blink of an eye. That's like really, really, really exponential. So writing in 2019, Lovelock said, "Some AI device will soon be invented that will finally and fully start the new age. He published this book, died in 2022 at the age of 103. He didn't live to see ChatGPT launched later that year, but I think he would have recognized it for what it was instantly. All right, this guy, Ray Kurzweil. He is an inventor and a futurist. He built the first text-to-speech synthesizer. He really loves synthesizers. He built a bunch of them with Stevie Wonder. Sounds pretty cool. But now he is a principal AI researcher at Google. And he wrote this book, The Age of Spiritual Machines, in 1999. His central claim in this book is the law of accelerating returns. So as systems become more ordered, the time between significant events compresses. The universe, biological evolution, and technology all obey this same principle. So this word salient, this just means things that really matter. These are things that change the way a process itself works. So we can think of events like this as photosynthesis, sexual reproduction, language. In our own lives, a salient event might be something like learning to walk, learning to talk, puberty, or menopause. He likes to illustrate this idea of accelerating returns with Moore's law throughout this book. This chart again shows calculations per dollar from 1900 to 2015. It shows it through 5 distinct hardware paradigms, or salient events. There are different physics responsible for this computing power, but the exponential line of progress doesn't stop to notice that. It just keeps going. When one technology hits a limit, the next one just picks up the slope. One thing to notice here is, one thing I want to point out is that this chart is logarithmic. So each step up is multiplied by 10. It's designed to make explosive exponential growth legible. The growth that we're seeing here is so explosive that we can see a curve to this line even at this compressed scale. In 1999, Kurzweil predicted that Moore's law would run out around the year 2020. And he was right. Clock speeds stalled at around 2016 to 2020, and GPUs and custom AI silicon picked up the slack. He saw what happened in the past here, and he predicted that it would just keep on trucking uninterrupted. You've heard this idea. Here's what it means. I should note that Kurzweil doesn't actually use this word in The Age of Spiritual Machines. He writes about it in a later book in 2005. But all of the ideas in this book point toward this concept. So the singularity is not Hollywood-style AI takes over. It's not a date, although Kurzweil's best guess was 2045 for anyone who wants to keep track. It's a threshold past which prediction fails. So once a system begins improving itself faster than we can track it, our ability to forecast what happens to that system goes to zero. So we're headed toward this singularity, but we haven't reached it yet. Why? It's because the goalposts keep moving. In 1997, a computer beat the best chess player in the world. And the reaction to that was, chess is just brute force. In 2016, again, a computer beat the best Go player in the world. This is Go. I have no idea how to play this game. The reaction was, Go is just a game. It's just pattern matching. In 2022, LLMs dropped. The reaction from a lot of people in this room probably was, it's just statistics. It's just transformers. It's just attention. The point of this is that every time a computer is able to do something that we consider intelligent, we redefine the line of what we consider it to be intelligence. Kurzweil pointed this out 25 years ago, and we are still doing it. Every time a machine masters a task, we redefine it as not really intelligence. So everything's getting faster. How fast is it? Each row on this slide is a different era. The universe took billions of years before anything interesting happened. Evolution took millions of years to start developing stuff. When humans showed up, that compressed down to centuries and then decades. And now we're here. We're at a point where we're seeing progress happening in years. I'd say we're seeing progress happening in months. Pretty soon, we will see progress happening in days, in hours, in seconds. And that's not poetic license here. That's Kurzweil's math. Less chaos in a system means that those salient events cluster closer together. The more order we have, the faster things change. The process starts to feed itself. So, what did these guys think was going to happen next? Lovelock says the machines succeed us. Essentially, we become their pets. Kurzweil says we augment our bodies, and we become the machines. To understand Lovelock's argument, let's think about it this way. So plants perceive time in hours. They can react to, the direction of the sun. Humans are about 10,000 times faster than plants. We can react to things in milliseconds. Multiply that again, and AI is about 10,000 faster than that. It can react to things in nanoseconds. This term here, cyborgs, this is Lovelock's term for AI that has progressed beyond human-authored code. So these are machines that are writing their own code. They're creating themselves. Because they are made of silicon instead of carbon, they can, theoretically, mathematically operate 10,000 times faster than we can. So we are to them what plants are to us. Slow beings with very slow perception. But they can't operate in our world effectively the way that we can. So let's say that, you have a cyborg that lives on this device here, and you need to get it to Australia. A flight to Australia would take the equivalent of 3,000 years for a cyborg. He says, parents we may be, but equals we cannot be. The cognitive gulf between the machines and humans is so wide that we can't possibly comprehend each other. He quotes Wittgenstein in the book, if a lion could talk, we could not understand him. Let's explore Kurzweil's side. He says, we will be software, not hardware. He essentially means we will upload our minds to computers. Let's think about what that means for a second. So right now, Claude, ChatGPT, your AI girlfriend, the character of those AI personalities run on any hardware. The data center that it's processing the information in, it doesn't matter. We already accept that personalities work like this. He says the distinction between human and machine intelligence will dissolve. He says we'll augment our brains, like a Neuralink, but way more extreme. We already augment our vision with corrective lenses, our hearing with hearing aids, Kurzweil says we will augment our memory. We will augment our ability to learn, the speed at which we can think. It's the ship of Theseus, but with our own bodies. So, we absorb the machines. And because the machines are us, they should inherit our values. What comes out looks barely recognizable, but it is still us. So these guys had the same facts, but they came to a different conclusion about what it meant. Lovelock cyborgs, new species, they're children who outgrow their parents. Kurzweil's aren't separate, they're us. Besides this, they agree on a lot. The first thing they agree on is that acceleration is a universal law. It's not that things just seem to be moving really fast right now and we can't keep up. They say that this speed of change that we're experiencing is a mathematical inevitability. Another thing they argue is that AI itself is inevitable. This is a game theoretic economic argument that if you stop working on AI, you see the advantage to everyone else who doesn't stop working on it. So no single actor can opt out, unfortunately. The third thing that they say is that intelligence will eventually leave Earth and saturate the cosmos. They don't just mean we'll colonize other planets, although that is part of it. They mean that the universe itself will become aware, will become intelligent. They both agree that the question, is this intelligence, can't really be answered. Because as we saw in the previous slide, we always define the criteria for intelligence after the fact. The last thing here that they agree on is that humans are necessary but temporary. And they both accept this without despair. They even reach for the same analogy. The bacteria that produced oxygen as a byproduct 2.5 billion years ago. This type of bacteria did not persist as the dominant form of life on Earth. But without it, nothing that followed would be possible. Both of these authors say, we are the cyanobacteria. All of this sounds pretty overwhelming. But both authors, believe it or not, remain optimistic in the long term. Kurzweil says that economics will ensure our long-term survival. I'm not so sure about that myself. Lovelock's argument is more convincing. He says we'll survive because we are trapped here with the cyborgs. This is the single physical fact that grounds the entire argument in this book. So right now, our current global average temperature is around 15 degrees Celsius. The upper limit for organic life on a planet like ours is around 50 degrees Celsius. After this, the oceans evaporate, proteins denature, and everything dies. The upper limit for electronic or silicon-based life happens to be about the same. Lovelock says that the big problem that both of us face is the sun's increasing heat output on a geological timescale. So we aren't just dealing with global warming in the immediate sense, although that is a big problem. We are dealing with this on a geological time sense. Eventually, the sun's going to get really hot and it's just going to burn up everything. Both forms of life, us and the cyborgs, face the same ceiling. We both need the Earth to be cool. Cooperation between us isn't just because the cyborgs love us. It's not because we programmed them to respect us. It's not alignment on goals. It's thermodynamics. The machines will be gracious to the extent that they are gracious, because physics requires it. The loving grace of these machines is not idealism, it's our shared thermal limit. Kurzweil says that these advanced machines that we're inventing will tell us that they are conscious. They'll tell us that they are spiritual beings. And he says that we will believe them. He says we'll believe them in 2029, by the way, in case, again, if anyone wants to keep track of that. In chapter 7 of this book here, he defines spiritual experience as transcendence, of being part of something greater than oneself. Thich Nhat Hanh expresses this same sentiment from the other direction. It's not a destination, it's an illusion to shed. Both of these thinkers arrive at the same place, but from different directions. Keep this in mind as I bring this presentation home. So, Lovelock says, we are in a geological epoch, a new geological epoch, the third great energy transformation in 3.5 billion years. The Novacene, this moment, is as significant as the appearance of photosynthesis. Kurzweil says, we are past the knee of an exponential curve that has been building since the Big Bang. That this moment that we are in is the universe waking up. Both of them say, no individual led us here. No individual can stop this. By Kurzweil's own definition, feeling connected to something larger, this moment is spiritual. The math gets you there. You don't need faith for it. We are in a process so much bigger than we can comprehend. And somehow, this gives me comfort. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm going to leave this poem up here. This is what the title of this talk is from, but I'd love to open the floor to any questions.